Today on Mother Mayhem. The holidays actually are the perfect time to practice self-care through boundaries. They may not be easy to implement, but they can protect you and your sense of safety. Hi, it's Heather. If you're listening to this on the date of the episode's release, well, it's Christmas. And we know how emotional holidays can be for all of you. They're stressful, they're nerve-wracking, sad, lonely. Did anyone say stressful yet? Amongst a whole host of other bad, mad, sad feelings. This day and this season, well, brings up a lot. I've been thinking about the daughters who might be tuning in today, and I imagine some of you are thankful for the consistency this podcast brings, no matter how you celebrate this season or if you're not celebrating it at all. I know we have daughters who've chosen no contact and, as a result, find themselves alone today. We also have daughters who have been isolated or ostracized from their families for speaking out and speaking the truth. And I want to let you know that Mayhem sees you. You might be feeling alone in an entirely different way, cut off or abandoned. I know some of you are still navigating your relationships with your moms, perhaps trying to set boundaries for the very first time, or facing that tug of war between guilt and self-protection. And others may be healing from the emotional scars of that relationship you've had with your mom. And you're still working on finding your way back to yourself in this really complex world we call healing. For those of you who are estranged but surrounded by supportive chosen family or friends, I want you to know that while your experience might be a little bit different, your emotions are just as valid. Holidays can bring up so many things, and this year especially, I am sending all of you love, compassion, and a reminder that you are not alone in this journey. I'm also reminding you that this is only one day, and you can get through anything for one day. You have gotten through 100% of your bad days before. You'll get through this one too. The holidays are a time when emotions run really high, and for a lot of us, they come with some pretty complex feelings. For some, it becomes a reminder of what we've lost, family relationships that once felt central to our lives, but are now distant or non-existent. The absence of those connections can feel especially sharp during the holidays, when it seems like everyone around you is celebrating with family. For others, the holidays bring up that ongoing pain of rejection or estrangement. Whether you've been cut off or you've actively chosen to go no contact, this time of year can trigger those feelings of grief, sadness, or loneliness. And even for those of you who aren't estranged, the stress of confronting old wounds sometimes can get pretty overwhelming. You might find yourself being pushed into situations that feel unsafe, triggering old dynamics that you've worked really hard to escape from. Family gatherings, even if they're well-intentioned, can easily, we know this, become battlegrounds where the same unhealthy patterns and dysfunctional behaviors reappear, threatening to undo any of the progress you've made. You may find yourself feeling like you're walking on eggshells, trying to navigate these events while protecting yourself emotionally. And that can be so exhausting, not to mention discouraging. It's easy to feel isolated during the holidays, especially when the world seems so caught up in that holiday rush, the decorations, the gatherings, the cheer. When everyone else seems to be celebrating, it can amplify feelings of loneliness, as though you're the only one who's not participating in the joy. I want to remind you, though, that whatever you're feeling right now, it is perfectly valid. There is no one right way to feel about the holidays. And a lot of things can be true at the same time. You can be happy at the joy you see reflected back at you from your children. You can be happy to be in the company of the people you're with. And you can be sad for things that you miss, that you long for, that never got to be yours. Two things can be true at the same time. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you're choosing to process this season, and you are not obligated to embrace the holiday cheer if it doesn't feel like it's authentic to you. I want you to remember you are not failing because you're not doing the holidays the way anyone expects. You're not wrong for needing a break, for seeking peace, or for wanting to distance yourself from certain traditions or from certain people. What you are doing is taking care of yourself. You're protecting your emotional well being, you're setting boundaries, and you're listening to what your heart and your soul needs. And that's exactly what you should be doing right now. I am so proud of you for showing up for yourself, even when it's so hard and sad. This time of year can bring up so much, but I hope you'll give yourself credit for navigating these emotions with the care and the compassion you deserve. You are not alone in this, whether you're celebrating or not. I want you to know you're doing your best with the tools, resources, knowledge, and energy you have right now. And that in of itself is really something to be proud of. And you've heard me say this on the show a time or two. Nothing makes a narcissist like a holiday, a wedding, a funeral, or some other significant family event. These occasions, meant to be about connection and celebration and remembrance, can instead be triggers for the toxic behaviors, especially when you're dealing with your narcissistic mothers. We all know that for those of you who are still in relationship with your moms, this time of year can sometimes bring out the worst in them. These familiar patterns of narcissistic behavior, the demands for attention, the manipulation, the guilt trips, the emotional blackmail, are all intensified during the holiday season. What might otherwise be a tense or difficult interaction can sometimes now become a full-blown emotional storm when it's framed by the expectations and the pressures of a holiday or a family event. And if your narcissistic mother feels like she's not the center of attention, we all know many of you just have to watch out. The manipulation and the demands can reach new heights, whether it's trying to control the narrative, guilt you into giving her more of your time, or getting upset over what seems like the smallest slights. The stress of dealing with her can make a day like today feel truly unbearable. If you're spending time with your narcissistic mother or extended family, you may feel like you're walking on a tightrope. Every conversation or interaction could be a test, one where you're constantly on edge, trying to avoid a triggering tantrum or an emotional outburst. The slightest misstep could be used against you, and you might find yourself questioning your every single move, trying to navigate the situation without causing conflict, or perhaps, even worse, being drawn into the chaos. But here's the thing I want you to remember. Her behavior is not a reflection of you. The way she acts or reacts is about her, not you. It's easy to internalize her manipulative tactics or try to take responsibility for her outbursts. But I need to remind you that her emotional dysregulation is not your burden to carry. It's not your job to meet her needs, no matter how much she may try to guilt trip you or pressure you into doing so. You are not responsible for her feelings, her behavior, or her happiness. And it is okay to protect yourself. Whether you've chosen to limit contact, go no contact altogether, or even if you're just trying to survive a single encounter, I want you to remember that you are prioritizing your peace and your emotional well being. And that is an act of self love. You are choosing to protect your boundaries, your mental health, and your emotional safety. And that is something to be proud of. I am really proud of you. If you find yourself forced into an encounter with her or with other family members, take a deep breath. Pause, even if it's just for a moment. Remind yourself of your boundaries, what you allow, what you won't tolerate, and what you can handle. And remember, you have the right to remove yourself from a situation that feels harmful or draining, whether that means stepping outside for a few minutes, leaving early, or even deciding to cut the visit short. It is always okay to choose yourself in those moments. Protecting your emotional well being is a priority, and you have every right to do so. So, how can you cope with all of this? No matter where you are in your relationship with your narcissistic mom, boundaries are going to be key. And I know setting boundaries can feel impossible, especially if your mom has conditioned you to believe that boundaries don't exist or that you shouldn't have them. But the truth is, boundaries are going to be your lifeline. They are not just a defense against manipulation, they are an act of self care. And while it's going to feel strange or uncomfortable at first, the holidays actually are the perfect time to practice self care through boundaries. They may not be easy to implement, but they can protect you and your sense of safety. Here are a few strategies you can use to help you navigate some challenging dynamics. You can limit your time with family if you're seeing them. You don't have to stay for the entire event, no matter how much pressure you might feel to do so. A short visit can still be a meaningful connection, but it also protects your energy. Set a time limit before you even arrive and promise yourself here that you're going to stick to it. If you need to leave early, you've already established the boundary. It may seem like a small thing, but these boundaries can make a big difference in how you feel during and after the event. A short, peaceful visit can be a lot more restorative than hours of emotional exhaustion. And I want you to have an exit plan. It's a good idea to have a graceful way to exit if things start to feel overwhelming or toxic. Before you go, come up with an excuse to leave, whether it's needing to get back to the kids, an early work obligation, you're not feeling well, something's come up. The key is to have a plan in place so you're not caught off guard by any manipulative comments or actions. Remember, your peace, your mental well being are more important than anyone else's comfort. You do not owe anyone an explanation beyond what you're comfortable with sharing. Having that exit plan can give you a sense of control, even in the most uncomfortable of situations. And don't be afraid to ask for support. I know that people are busy right now, and not everyone's going to be able to help you in the moment. But even a quick message to a trusted friend or a family member can go a long way. If you're feeling isolated or anxious, reach out. You can say something like, "Hey, when the chaos of the day has passed, can we plan to spend more time together soon?" Knowing that you have someone in your corner, even if they're not physically present, can help you feel more grounded. You might have an easier time getting through a long, challenging day just by knowing that there's something to look forward to on the other side, something or someone that can help you regain balance after a difficult time. Even a simple check in can remind you that you are not alone in this and that support is available to you. And maybe this is the day you start a new tradition. If you're not spending the holidays with family this year, or if you've made the decision to go no contact, or you're keeping things minimal, this might be the perfect opportunity to create something new for yourself. Even if it's small, start a new tradition that brings you some peace, a little bit of joy, and reminds you of your sense of self. It could be as simple as watching a movie that makes you feel good, taking a quiet walk, cooking something that you really love. Creating space for yourself to connect with your own needs and desires can make a huge difference in your experience of the holidays. It's okay to make a day like this your own. Your holiday might not look like a traditional celebration, and that's okay. It's your time to take care of yourself and get a little bit of control back in how you spend it. And ladies, you really have to give yourselves permission to feel whatever it is you're feeling. Sometimes the hardest part is feeling like you should be happy just because it happens to be Christmas. But there's no right or wrong way to feel, and it is okay not to be filled with holiday cheer. You may be really sad or angry or lonely, or you might even be experiencing some relief. All of these emotions are valid and they make sense. It's okay, and I encourage you to honor how you feel instead of pushing to conform to other people's expectations of what this day should look like. The most important thing you can do is treat yourself with kindness and allow yourself to process the feelings that come out without any judgment or guilt. By setting these kinds of boundaries and by planning ahead and creating a space for self care, you're taking some proactive steps to help protect your emotional well being. The holidays don't always have to be a time of intense suffering or tension. You can choose what you need to make this time meaningful and supportive for you. The most important thing I want you to take away from today is this: be kind to yourself. The holidays, as we know, are a time that stirs up the guilt, the shame, the self doubt, feelings that are often compounded and complicated when you're navigating painful family dynamics. If you're feeling isolated or disconnected, if the weight of the season feels like it's simply too much to bear, I want you to stop for a moment and remind yourself that everything you're feeling makes sense. Wherever you are in your journey, whatever you're feeling right now, you are not alone. This is not an easy time of year, especially for daughters of narcissistic or emotionally unavailable moms. You don't need to have everything together or fit into anyone else's idea of what a perfect holiday should look like. And if you need to take a step back from the world, whether by retreating to your own space, disconnecting from the noise, or choosing to protect your peace by limiting your exposure to those triggering environments, you are allowed to do that. Your well being has to come first. You are the only one who's going to know what's best for you, even when the rest of the world may be trying really hard to pull you into 50 million different directions. If you're struggling with guilt for not being with family, or if you find yourself questioning the decisions you've made to go no contact or to limit contact, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You deserve peace. You deserve love. And most importantly, you deserve emotional safety. It's okay to choose those things over family obligations or that never ending expectation to show up in a way that compromises your mental health. You have the right to take care of yourself first. It is not selfish. You are doing the courageous, compassionate work of honoring your boundaries, of protecting your heart. That is something to be proud of. And I am so proud of you for doing it. Healing is really hard work. And yes, it is often lonely. But I want to remind you that you are making progress every single day. Even if you're taking a step back today to focus on your peace, you're moving forward in your healing. I'm so proud of you for taking care of yourself. This holiday season, I hope you remember that it is okay to lean into whatever serves you best, even if that's different from that traditional narrative of what those holidays are supposed to be. Your peace is so important. You are allowed to protect it. And while today may just be one day, we all know that managing the aftermath of these encounters can be just as, if not more so, exhausting. Some of you are listening now having made it through the holiday, but now you're navigating the emotional aftermath. You just maybe need some company, some comfort, and maybe a little mayhem to help your nervous system regulate after what you've just endured. For others of you, maybe you're listening after a boundary was crossed. Maybe after a moment of self abandonment or a full on emotional roller coaster that your mom orchestrated. And maybe you were left to pick up the pieces. Some of you might be tending to those emotional paper cuts, the small but sharp digs your mom made, the backhanded comments that stung more than you might have expected. I know that for most of you, if you're listening to this one after the fact, you're likely in what I call the emotional hangover. It's that feeling of being drained, wiped out, disconnected, like you're floating through the aftermath of everything that just happened. Maybe you feel numb or foggy. Maybe you're absolutely positively fucking furious. Like the anger is bubbling under the surface, demanding to be heard. Or maybe you feel like you somehow dodged a bullet and you're grateful that your mom didn't take the opportunity to create yet another shit show. But you're still aware of everything that's lingering. It is okay to feel all of this. We know that narcissistic mothers have a way of leaving us emotionally dysregulated, and that toll can be overwhelming. Their behaviors, we know, are designed to push buttons, to make you question your reality, and to keep you off balance. So, if you're feeling exhausted, triggered, disconnected, dysregulated, likely a little bit of all of the above, remember, not alone in this. You're not weak for feeling drained by her, and it makes so much sense that you might need some time to rest, to catch your breath, and to catch up with yourself. The truth is, your moms take a lot out of you, not just in the moment, but long after the moment is over. If you're in this aftermath right now, it is okay to take your time to recover. It's okay to rest. You don't have to keep pushing through or force yourself to get over it right away. Sometimes the best thing you can do is give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling, to validate your experience, and give yourself the care you need to heal. And once the day is over for you, I know a lot of you might be feeling that need to come down from that really intense emotional drama. After the tension, after the stress, maybe the relief of surviving the day, your nervous systems might just be more than a little bit out of whack. I want to talk to you about some ways that you can re regulate yourself once the dust has settled and find ways to help you regulate if you're still finding yourself white knuckling your way through the day. First, as always, remember that you can always start with something simple: breathing. I know it's a cliche, but deep down, slow breathing really can do wonders when you are stuck in fight or flight. When your body is still carrying heightened stress, take a few minutes to just focus on your breath. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold it for 4 counts. And then exhale for 4 counts. And I really encourage you guys to do this a few times. This is your body's way of hitting the reset button. It helps you move out of the stress response and into a more grounded, calm, restful place. Speaking of grounding and restfulness, this might be a good opportunity to try some of those grounding exercises that you hear me yammer about a time or two. They really can help you reconnect with your body and they can bring you back to the present moment. If you're feeling scattered or disconnected, take a couple of minutes to really feel your feet on the ground, your body in the chair, or maybe your hands resting in your lap. Close your eyes and take a moment to check in with your senses. What can you hear? What can you touch? What can you smell? These little sensory moments can anchor you back into your body and help you pull away from that emotional whirlwind. And if you feel like you need to shake off the energy from the day, I'm not going to Taylor Swift you here, but you can try some gentle movement, a short walk, some light stretching, or even an actual dance or a little shaking or a few jumping jacks around your living room. All of those things are things that can help you release some of that tension. Movement can be a quick way to get energy flowing again and to help calm your nervous system down a little bit. It doesn't have to feel intense, just enough to get your body moving in a way that feels a little bit more calming. And self-soothe. It is another way to help you calm your system. This might be something as simple as wrapping yourselves up in a soft blanket, or one of my favorites for this is taking a towel and putting it in the dryer so that it's nice and hot when I get out of a shower, taking a warm bath, having a cup of tea. It's about doing something that signals to your body that you're safe and that it is okay to comfort your brain and your body, letting them know it's time to relax and that it is okay to reset. For some of you, you might find comfort in journaling right now, writing down all of the things that have been swirling about in your head so you can release them and make space for that peace you're seeking. And if you're feeling really emotionally spent, spend some quiet time alone and allow yourself to restore. Sometimes we just really do need to unplug and give ourselves permission not to be on for anyone, whether it's taking a nap, reading a book, or just sitting in stillness. Giving yourself that alone time can be a way to reset your energy, to reclaim your peace. And lastly, if you're up for it, reach out for support. Talk to a friend or a loved one who gets it. Sometimes just sharing how you're feeling and knowing you're heard can help your nervous system calm down. But make sure it's someone who understands your boundaries and respects your needs so you can truly feel nurtured in that exchange. I want you to remember here, there is no rush. You don't need to bounce back from this holiday or your experiences with your mom immediately. Healing and re-regulating your nervous system is a process, and I would encourage you all to go slowly. Give yourself the time and the space you need to come back to yourself, knowing that this moment, however you're feeling, is just that, a moment. You've made it through, and now it's time to refill your cup in a way that's gentle, kind, and nurturing. You're worth that care. You're worth taking a step back and prioritizing your peace. And here's what I want you to know. I believe in you. Even if you're feeling drained or disconnected right now, I know that your strength is deeper than you can see in this moment. I hold hope for you. I know that it may feel like you're stuck or that change is impossible, but I want you to know that healing is real. and I am cheering you on every step of the way. I know you might think you're not doing enough or that you're failing, but I want you to know that you are enough, just as you are. Taking care of yourself in the ways that matter is the most important thing. I know you might be afraid that letting go of toxic family dynamics means you'll be alone forever. But I want you to know that choosing peace over chaos creates space for real connection, connections that are safe, authentic, and filled with love. I know that the guilt and shame can be overwhelming. You might be questioning your choices, even though they were for your own well being. But I want you to know that you are not responsible for the behaviors of others, and your decisions to protect yourself are an act of deep self love. I know you might feel like your emotions are all over the place, like you're in emotional fog, or like you're not allowed to feel what you feel. But I want you to know that your emotions are valid and you have every right to feel however you feel, even if it's complicated or messy. I know you're worried that you won't ever truly heal or that you will always be tied to the past. But I want you to know that healing is a journey, not a destination, and every single step you make is progress. I know that you're afraid that you'll never be able to set the boundaries you need to, or that your mom will never change. But I want you to know that your boundaries are not just possible, they're necessary, and they will create the emotional space you need to breathe and thrive. I know the holidays can stir up a lot of pain and confusion, but I want you to know that you are worthy of peace. You are worthy of love. And you are worthy of a future where you are no longer at the mercy of someone else's needs or emotional chaos. And as you step into the new year, I want you to know that this is your year, a year to continue growing, setting deeper boundaries, and reclaiming your peace. A year where you get to decide what your life looks like, who gets a seat at your table. I believe in the possibilities ahead for you, and I cannot wait to see the ways you continue to show up for yourself. All of you are in this community of women around the world who are in this together. I, for sure, most definitely am in it with you too. Bye for now. I do hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you have a question you'd like me to consider for the show, please do email me over at heather@daughtersnpd.com. You are always welcome to share your story or questions by recording yourself using the voice app on your phone. For best recording quality, please do record directly into your phone without using headphones or Bluetooth speakers. We're building an incredible community as well over on Instagram, and I'd love to see you over there too. You can find us at Daughters NPD. Lastly, if you love what you've been hearing here on Mayhem and have found the show helpful in your own trauma recovery, please do consider becoming a Mother Mayhem sponsor by purchasing simple scripts for saying hard things. It's a resource I created that provides the right words for the hard conversations, and it covers life, love, and work. You'll find a link for that in the show notes. If you know another woman who needs this conversation in her life, please do share the show with her. Your reviews and social shares help spread the word, and I hope you'll consider doing so. Special thanks to Heather Clark for editing the show. She's in my head and knows what I meant to say when the words come out backwards. Thanks so much for your time today. As always, I'm in it with you. Bye for now.